Hi, I'm George, the Weather Dad. Take a look at your next 5 to 6 days. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about temperatures because there's a cool front, or very strong cold front, I should say, moving its way into most of the country, and that's going to knock temperatures down somewhat. So that's not going to be the big weather story. We do have precipitation that's going to come in and potentially knock down some of the severe drought that's occurring in portions of Ohio, West Virginia, a little bit of Kentucky, as well as Pennsylvania. But the Gulf Coast, the tropics, becoming very, very active, and I'll show you a little bit closer look at what's going on down into the southeast and the Gulf Coast here in just a minute. But first, let's take a look at your Sunday temperatures. You can see where it's pretty warm still across portions of the Midwest, heading towards the East Coast, certainly along the Gulf Coast. Very, very hot, warm temperatures there, very muggy as well. But what you are looking at here is a big change. Notice all this yellow and even below normal temperatures there in the Rockies. A very strong cold front there, and that's going to be pushing its way towards the east and southeast, and that's going to be knocking temperatures down. Daytime highs are still going to be pretty close to normal, and normal for this time of year for the Ohio Valley in the upper 70s, but the nighttime lows are going to be down into the 50s. It's going to feel very, very comfortable. Let's jump right now to Wednesday. Again, pretty nice across most of the country. Still very hot and humid across the Gulf Coast and the desert Southwest. And then by Friday, a little bit warmer there in the central U.S., but again, for the most part, temperatures are pretty close to normal, so no major heat wave as we can see here right now. As I mentioned to you, there's a drought going on. You can see there in Ohio, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, and portions of Kentucky. It looks like we are going to get some precipitation and knock this down a little bit, but overall, it's not too bad. A little dry there in the Rockies and down around Texas, but again, overall, not too bad for this time of year as far as our drought index is concerned. So specifically for Sunday, here's that cold front. You can see it there, very active. We could be looking at some severe weather along with this front because, as you saw with the temperature map, very chilly on that side, very hot on this side. So the battle zone is right there, and when you get that much contrast, you could be looking at some severe weather potential in this area. Now that's on Sunday, and then on Monday, it does move towards the east. You can kind of see that there, drying out certainly across the western two-thirds of the country. Tuesday, another system develops along that front, pushes into the Ohio Valley, again giving much needed precipitation for this drought-stricken area as you see there. Now here on Tuesday, you don't see much going on down into the tropics because it's starting to develop as we head on into your Wednesday. You see a low developing there just off the Yucatan Peninsula, and we're going to keep an eye on that. Again, precipitation moving up into the northeast, and there's that frontal system again bringing in some of that cooler air. Now by Thursday, you can kind of see the system starting to get active, and I'll take a closer look at that here for you in just a minute, but very active across the eastern seaboard and heading up towards New England as this system really gets wound up, and we could be looking at some severe weather there. And again, most of the country fairly dry, another system moving into the Pacific Northwest. By Friday, you do see that thing starting to work its way closer to the Gulf Coast. Again, I'll give you a little bit more specifics, but very active along the eastern seaboard up in New England, a few showers lingering back towards the Great Lakes. Now let's take a look at a little closer next Friday. This is one model. This is a GFS model, and right now, though, it's very difficult to figure out exactly where this thing is going to go. Right now, this model is putting it right there across the panhandle of Florida, but anyone, I think, from Houston over towards the east, towards Florida, is going to have to keep an eye on this thing because as of right now, there's no storm that has developed. So the models are all kind of all over the board at this point. But the trend is starting to look like in this area of the Gulf of Mexico, we could be looking at a pretty good size hurricane by Thursday or Friday of the upcoming week. But we'll keep an eye on that as we head towards that time frame. But once again, it does look like there's something fairly active in the Gulf of Mexico. So that's the next 5 to 6 days. I'm George, the Weather Dad.